If you currently feel like your dates are going nowhere, perhaps you're not getting that second date, or dating just isn't feeling that fun for you right now, I'm here to help to teach you all the ingredients you need to have that sparky, fun first date. I'm dating coach Hayley Quinn, and welcome to your Match live coaching session. Okay, so during the next 90 minutes, we've got an action-packed schedule here where I will be answering questions from you and also teaching you loads of good hints and tips for how to improve your first dates. We're going to be covering everything from conversation skills to how to overcome things when a date cancels last minute. But before we get into that, I also want to teach you a little bit about how you can engage and interact more this evening, because I don't want this live coaching session to just be me talking at you and teaching you. Instead, I really want you to use this as an opportunity to interact and get your questions answered. So to start with, you'll probably notice on the page right now there is a chat box. In this chat box, you can send questions in to me live. I will be answering questions as I go throughout the session, and we also have a 30-minute live Q&A at the end. So if you have a burning dating advice question that you would love for me to answer, please put it into the chat box. Also, you can help and connect with other users this way. So if you see perhaps other people interacting in the chat box, this is also your opportunity to connect with other Match members. If I say something that you like and you think is some quite good advice, you're also very welcome to hit the heart button and give me a like this evening. And finally, throughout this session, I'm going to be hosting 4 public votes. So this is really cool because it gives me an opportunity to get a sense of what you and the other Match members are really thinking and feeling. So in order to vote tonight, you need to click on the plus button. If you're watching on a desktop computer or laptop, you'll probably find that's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're on a mobile, it's going to be in the top right-hand corner. And with all of these votes, we're going to just basically see how you feel about different dating topics. Our first vote of the evening is the question, do you struggle to get to the second date? So to the first date feels like it goes okay, but does it go no further after that? You can click yes or no and vote now by using the plus button, and I will give you the results of this first survey before the end of this section. So as I said, this coaching session tonight is all about first dates, and of course, being a dating coach, I'm a bit biased and I think first dates are wonderful and exciting and fun, a really good opportunity for you to be curious and get to know someone else. But from plenty of people I work with, I know that you may at the moment be feeling like you'd rather go to a job interview than a first date. So if you're not really feeling that enthusiasm for first dates at the moment, hopefully I'm going to be here to help this evening. So in the next section that's coming up, we are going to be looking particularly at first date problems. So this could be things like you feel very nervous before a first date. It could also be more practical steps in terms of how do you handle it if someone cancels on you last minute. Oh, it's so annoying. After that, no coaching session on first dates would be complete without a section dedicated to conversation skills. So at the moment, if you worry about running out of things to say, or you feel that your chat might not be as good as it could be, I'm going to here to help you with some really practical tips for how you can improve your conversation skills, including my 5 favorite questions that you can ask someone on a date. So hopefully there'll be some great practical hints. In our final section, I'm also going to be looking at first date planning. So it's like, where do you go? How can you make your first dates more fun? Are Zoom dates still a thing? I will be discovering all in our first date planning session. Finally, the session will end with a 30-minute live Q&A, and this is the most fun, as I said, because it gives me a chance to really see how you're thinking and feeling about dating at the moment and to personally answer your dating questions. So please get involved and send those questions in to me. I want to hear them. So before we get started with the first batch of questions, let's just have a quick recap of this section. So first dates are fun, honestly they can be. First dates aren't an interview, and first dates are an opportunity to be curious about someone new. So there's all these positives to first dates, I promise. So while I'm waiting for the results of that vote to come in, I actually have some questions that you have already sent me in advance, and I'm going to be answering a few of those. And the questions are really great because I think it said you're going to get, hopefully, even if you didn't send this question in, I bet you will identify with a lot of the questions that people are asking. So the first one comes from Jan, who says, how do you get from texting to a date? So this is the classic sort of online dating issue of feeling like you can chat to someone all the time, but unfortunately, those never really turn into real life dates. She goes on to say, I've had long text conversations with people and they seem quite keen to talk, but these don't result in dates. Are the men waiting for me to ask? I'm not much good at this. Okay, Jan, I'm going to ban you from ever saying ever again that you're not much good at this, okay? Instead, what we need to do is have a bit of a practical approach to why would someone be messaging you a lot, but not actually asking you out on a date? Well, there's two reasons for this. The first one is that someone lacks confidence. They're looking for a clearer signal from you that you are open to a date with them. And sometimes, even if you think you're being really clear, it might not be clear enough. The second reason is that for whatever their reasons, they may just not be able to meet you in real life. Maybe they have a lot of anxiety around meeting someone. Maybe they're very busy. Perhaps they're the sort of person that likes to chat a bit online, but isn't actually going to be willing to meet you in real life. So obviously, we don't want you to keep investing your time and energy in talking to these people. We want you to be on dates. So here's what I would say. Be even clearer and give an even clearer signal than you have been. Say, I really fancy a hot chocolate this weekend, or I just went to see this gallery, I'd love to check that out again, or it would be great to meet before Christmas. Show a strong intention towards meeting. Tell people what you would like to do and how you'd like to spend time with them. Any man who's genuinely interested is going to jump on that as an opportunity to ask you out for a date. If he doesn't then start initiating and participating in planning that date, you can take that as a feedback loop that it's not necessarily anything to do with you, but for whatever his reasons, he's not willing to meet in person. That doesn't meet your standards, so you shift your time and energy and focus elsewhere. So the next question I've got is a bit of a controversial one, so hold on to your seats at home, people. This one comes from Non, who says, I don't want to know anything about the men on a first date. I want just to have a look at his behaviour and talk about myself. Is this okay? So I put this one in here because I think there's two really important points from it. First of all, obviously, if we want to get to know someone and truly understand what they're all about, we have to also, apart from looking at their behaviour, we have to engage them in conversation. How someone talks to us and the kind of questions we ask them, and having a dialogue as opposed to a monologue, is probably one of your best tools to really understanding what someone's about. And I said, I've got some great questions coming up for you all to use, which are going to help you to encourage your dates to open up. So get your notepads at the ready for that later. Secondly, we also want to try and make the date an enjoyable experience for both people. And of course, if one person is doing all the talking, it's not that enjoyable as an experience. So I think for everyone out there, it's so important to remember to ask questions of your dates, be engaged and be a good listener, as well as being excited to talk about your life. I have just seen before our last question that it looks like the results of the survey have come in, and it says that 70% of you out there struggle to get to the second dates. So that's quite a big majority, isn't it? So Hope's session is really going to help you out if you feel like you're kind of keep falling at the same hurdle and you want to have an opportunity to go on more of those second, third dates and hopefully form relationships. So my last question is from, before we move on to our first coaching session, is from Robo84. Robo84 says, I have cerebral palsy in my right hand. It is relatively minor but noticeable. How would you approach it on a first date? So to state the obvious, I think all of us have something, whether it's something in our past or something medical that we have to disclose to future partners. And for Robo, you seem like you want to bring that up on a first date. For others of you out there, of course, I wouldn't advise kind of dropping a bombshell, when you get to the altar. But over those first few dates, you can also think about when you feel enough trust and enough connection with the person to be really open with them. Whether it's the first date though or the third date, how you talk about it, I would do a few things. Keep it short, be really open about it, And keep it light-hearted. This demonstrates you're really comfortable with whatever you're disclosing, and that will allow the other person to feel comfortable with that as well. So for Robert 84, he could just say, you may have noticed I've got cerebral palsy here in my right hand. So if this hand's slightly more clumsy than that hand, you know the reason why. So keep it short, to the point, clear and light-hearted. It's going to be a great way to communicate that information. So now let's go on to our first section, which is all about troubleshooting common first date problems.